come after me. And you know what? That whole IRS thing is a voluntary tax. No matter how much they want to bully you into believing it, if you stand your ground against them, they'll back down because they know they have to. It's the wimps that won't, that they can just bulldoze over. And you know what? If you were a real pastor in the Lord today and you had a real calling to be a pastor today, there is no way you would have sold that church out to the state. You sold it out to the devil, and then you go up there on Sundays and you preach God. You know, y'all make me sick.
Well, you know, Sherry, you talked about these pastors today, as we said a few weeks ago. They don't even have the courage to stand up and tell people, don't lie to your children that there's a Santa Claus.
They're cowards. They're spineless. They were never called by the Lord, and the ones that were have lost the Lord. They've lost their spines. They're responsible for leading the flock astray. They're teaching all these falsehoods. They graduated from these seminaries, you know, led by Norman Vincent Peale, who was the ex-head of the New Age movement, who came over to lead Dallas Theological Seminary and influence all these seminaries that our pastors are coming out of today. And you want to know why they're called cemeteries?
Yep, the blind leading the blind.
You know, how many of these people, you know, are just going to do what's right and start preaching the truth? And, of course, now a lot of them in 501c3s cannot talk religion or they can't talk politics. Most of them don't talk religion either. They can't talk politics. They're not allowed to mention candidates. You know, there's a whole list of things that the churches can't even go near now.
But this is if you want the tax-free status. Correct?
Yeah, it's to keep it. Now, you can't be talking about sin or the devil and hell because that doesn't make people feel good. You know, it's kind of offensive. So you can't be talking about this stuff now.
All for the love of money and to maintain tax-free status.
Yeah.
That's pathetic, you know, and these are the same people that other Christians look up to as the, quote, the great anointed men of God.
You know, our pastors they're false shepherds, and people need to stop listening to them. They need to get away from them.
That's right, because if you don't stop listening to them now, you'll stop listening to them one day in the future when they tell you to follow the Antichrist. Well, what are you going to do then?
Yep, when they're all forced to promote this, not even will anyway. They're so hoodwinked by it. You know, what I want to do now is I'm going to take a break here off of this event and go into emails I've gotten this week. That's
a good idea. By the way, we are taking calls tonight.
Yeah, we are taking calls. We'll start at 8:30, taking calls. Some of the interesting emails I got this week. One was asking me, his family is going on vacation January 14th to the 21st down at West Palm Beach, Florida. And, of course, I have a Miami code for January, possible fuel air bomb being unleashed in Miami. Since I have posted that code, or that warning, posted the code last year, revived it for this year because it had not gone away, was sounding the alarms on that a couple months in 2004. I really don't feel it anymore. I can't say one way or the other if it's going to happen, but I'm not led to sound the alarms on Miami right now, so that might be a good thing. Go to Miami, enjoy yourself, ask for the Lord's protection, ask Him if you should go or not. But I really don't feel any more urgencies towards Miami right now.
Well, that's the thing, Sherry. A lot of codes give a month in a disaster, but they don't give the year.
Yeah, and another thing is once you start sounding the alarms, they cancel their plans. Another thing is an interesting, great email I got from somebody. Wanted to know about the national ID card. And let me read what he says. He says, the other thing I would like to suggest to you is that the mark is not a mark that is added, but rather one that is already a part of us at birth. Have you not noticed how government has been really pushing the use of the fingerprint? Not just any fingerprints, but the ones on the right hand. Not only is the fingerprint being pushed for ID, but there have been bills introduced to Congress for the purpose of requiring a retinal scan as ID. The scriptures warn us of a mark in the right hand and forehead. The right hand fingerprints are used now, and the eyeball retina are in the forehead. Now let's not only look at this, but let's look at the whole warning. He will cause all to receive a mark in their right hand and in their forehead, that no man might buy or sell except he who has the mark of the beast, the fingerprints and the retinal scan, the name of the beast, the declaration of citizenship, or number of the individual man's social security number. The whole system of the beast could very well already be in place, and all of us already participating unknowingly. I don't know about that, but I do know that Woody had to state about this national ID card with the retinal eye scans and the fingerprinting just raised my eyebrows, made me stand up when I read it. He could be dead right. There is nothing in Scripture that can disprove that this whole warning about the right hand and forehead could not be the retinal scan and fingerprints.
Well, that's very true. Plus, a retinal scan information and a fingerprint can all be placed inside of a microchip implant that could go right inside of your right hand as well.
Yeah, I mean, it could be on or in. Imagine what John sings, some 2,000 years ago. He's looking ahead in the future. He's trying to describe what he's saying. He's seeing something going on with your right hand and something going on with your forehead.
Well, Verichip is made the microchip implant, and the FDA has approved it for medical and security reasons. And with this little microchip implant that they can inject...
Well, I'm not even talking about an implant. That might just be the rabbit trail everybody's on. Right. What if the whole chip implant thing is nothing but a huge rabbit trail? Everybody's waiting for the chip to come and be announced. Meanwhile, it sneaks in the back door as just this eye retinal scan and fingerprinting.
Well, it's possible, because it's possible they may have too many problems with this chip.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, the Lord always has different things he can use out of different scriptures or different ways he can do it.
But if they could get their way, they would put a retinal scan and a fingerprint all inside of a chip, and they would know it would be impossible for you to falsify who you are.
Oh, well, it's kind of impossible unless you can take somebody's right eye out of their head and cut their finger off. Take it to the supermarket.
Here's the eye. Here's their hand. Give me the food. Here, scan the eye.
Yeah, I think it's a valid concern. One I'm going to keep my eyes on. I'm sure you're not going to have anything to do with this national ID card.
Well, a national ID card, Sherry, would it not be? It is a precursor to whatever's coming.
It may not be the precursor. What if it's the deal? What if it's the whole shebang? Well, what if it's the whole shebang?
Well, that's possible, but there
it is, and that's something everybody needs to start thinking about. This national ID card, the requirements alone could fit the requirements of Revelation 13.
Or at least know exactly who you are to call forward for your implantation.
I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Sooner or later you're going to have to go in to get your own ID card put together.
When do you think that will happen, Sherry, a national ID card?
Well, they were really pushing it by 2007, but now they're pushing it for 2005. See, everything that I have seen in the codes that was going to come about is moving way up.
So you think the codes are being accelerated?
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me that every time they want to do something drastic, like go to a national ID card or something like that, it's always after some kind of terrorist attack. Yeah,
well, look at what they're doing in Iraq now. They're now doing this retinal scan and fingerprinting thing in Iraq. They're using them as guinea pigs.
Well, they're going to have to, because look at what happened last week.
And this is a third world country, nowhere near the advanced technology we have here, and they're making them do this whole retinal scan thing.
Well, they have to, because remember last week, a person walked in an Iraqi uniform and a suicide bomber, and detonated a bomb and killed 22 soldiers and wounded like 60. So they're going to have to go to some type of retinal scan and fingerprinting just to know who's coming onto the base.
Well, that's because of their own their own fears or whatever. They don't have to do anything. I mean, if I was the Iraqis, that would be revolting. We shouldn't be there anyway. We shouldn't be there anyway. This is not God's war. He's not behind this war.
Think the war is a mistake?
Oh, it's not of God. And one thing that makes me cringe is all these pastors that get up there and say, oh, this war is of God. No, it's not. No, it's not. And his judgment's going to come to America for being nothing but bullies around this world. I wanted to, we're going to be on break in about 3 minutes, but what I want to do, folks, is our show is now going 2 hours on Saturday nights from 8 to 10, and we're going to start a new segment, Pastor Harry's Adventures Internet Chat.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell us about his